Let's go, Mets! We are live, and the New York Mets have once again taken a series from the Los Angeles Dodgers, model franchise, one of the model franchises of baseball. And the New York Mets do what they did last year, once upon a time, and took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. We have ourselves a very special guest today. We have our boy Clemmer back in the seat, back in the saddle. We got Meek Phil here, Clem here. Kyle is heading to a bachelor party, I believe. Our boy KFC is moving for the 22nd time of his life, which is a preposterous stat to have. So those two are on the road. So the three of us are going to take you home here on a happier recap than the last time Clemmer was on when the Mets took 2 or 3 against the Marlins. Taking 2 or 3 against the Dodgers in LA, everyone feels a little better. So what are we going to do? We're going to celebrate. We're going to pop some bottles. And what kind of bottles are those? Coors Light, because we love our Coors Light. Sometimes the days can get so crazy that you forget to make time for fun. When that happens, you got to choose to chill. So go ahead, say yes to midweek happy hours and catching the Mets game after work. KFC, once he moves in all his junk to his new house, boom, Coors Light. Kyle, going to be popping a few Blue Mountains down in Puerto Rico. Is that where he's going, Phil? Do you remember?
Let's just say he is.
Okay, we're going to say Puerto Rico. He's heading down to Puerto Rico. He's going to do some scanning for us as well down there. And then the three of us here will be watching the Mets like good Mets fans in San Francisco, popping some Blue Mountains. So pair your plans with a nice cold Coors Light, the beer that's keeping New York chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Mr. Clemmer!
Let's go! Let's go, boys! Yes! That was a hell of a series against the Dodgers. The 2 best wins of the season come in that series. Not only that, yes, it was ugly, it was nasty, it was disgusting. They swept the A's, and they took 2 out of 3 from the Padres since you last talked to me. This team is rolling right now. That you got to give a lot of props. I was thinking about this in the train right in. Buck Showalter. Think about yesterday. Scherzer is knocked out in the 3rd. The team never loses their focus. He plays the bullpen perfectly, and they get a win out of it. And this team is yesterday and on Monday, those looked like the 2022 Mets found a way to win. And then even the loss in the middle kind of felt like the 2022 Mets. Like they never really swept a series, but they would win 2 out of 3, and they would walk out of that town feeling pretty convincing. This was a great win, a great series, and we have 4 against the scuffling Giants and 3 against the horrible Nats coming up. So things are good.
Things are good. How are we feeling, Phil, right now?
I'm feeling great, dude. They've won a series.
You're Darth Vader right now. You have Darth Vader Mike status going on. You hear that, Clemmer? Oh, no.
I do. Very, very staticky. I feel like I'm watching TV in 1988, with the dials.
Yes.
Am I Darth Vader anymore?
You're better now. So how are you feeling, Phil, now that you've cleaned it up?
I'm feeling great. I'm back from the dark side. We won a series in LA. It's all good vibes outside of Phil Cuzzy.
Yeah. So the last time we had Clemmer on was when the Mets took 2 or 3 against the Marlins, and we said it almost felt like a loss, right? Is that what we said? Like the series, because the way it all went, this one felt like winning 3 or 4. This one felt the opposite, and just the way, I guess, getting that first win out of the way. So it's like, all right, at the very least, we're not going to get swept here in LA. The Dodgers haven't hit there, like Phil said, 31 wins in 33 games. They always seem to hit at some point during the season. The Kershaw game, whatever, I'm going to throw that. The Knicks had me so down, it didn't even hurt me. And then yesterday, day baseball, didn't have to stay up again for 3 nights in a row, get a win. And obviously the big story, we already kind of just touched on it very briefly. Max Scherzer gets ejected for the sticky stuff. The 3rd pitcher to be thrown out of a game for sticky stuff. The 3rd pitcher to be thrown out of game for sticky stuff by Phil Cuzzy. That fucking dildo, Phil Cuzzy. There was a tweet by Andy Martino yesterday where it said, Scherzer suspended 10 games, or is it days or games? It's games, right?
Games.
Okay, because I saw people saying days. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. 10 games, cannot. It's like he has it no matter what. Then everyone else was saying, I think it was actually Bob Nightingale, who's like the only person I trust less than Andy Martino, saying he can appeal. He will appeal. He was swearing on his kid's life after the game, said it was just rosin and sweat and the tape from the PitchCom device in his glove. So Clemmer, that was a wild scene. That was a wild scene yesterday.
It was. And, first off, fuck Phil Cuzzy. and it's whatever. He's doing his job fine. Did you see after he gave Scherzer the glove the first time? He kind of like slapped it on him. It was like, what the fuck? What an asshole move. Like, you are the umpire. You have higher control. Like, have some, like, it was just a shitty, like, very unprofessional thing to do, I thought. And then, there's no coincidence, like I said, Phil Cuzzy every time. I believe Scherzer here, just from the reaction, not because I am a probably biased Mets fan, but just because he seemed like he was really enraged. He seemed shocked. It just seemed really genuine human emotions when he was bounced. I don't know. I think I think he's going to appeal. He might even win the appeal. I wouldn't be shocked. This seemed like a bunch of bullshit. I was more taken away just from how the Mets overcame that. I think a lot of weaker teams would have just completely collapsed in LA against a good Dodgers team. They would have just lost that game. And instead, the Mets really showed they had some pretty big testicles.
Yeah, the testicles were on display, none bigger than our boy Jimmy Yacobonis. The Yacoboners are out, and they are flaunting themselves right now. They are raging. Engorged Yacoboners.
Also, Jimmy Yacobonis doing can you check me after striking out Freddie Freeman? It's like all time.
Yeah, that's one way to engage yourself with the Mets fans, right? You just act a little crazy, especially comes through in a big spot, as Francesa would always say. And I said this back after the Brewers series, and I truly do believe it. Whenever you get down on the team or you're getting a little worried about how everything's going, I just put all my faith in Buck. And yesterday was the perfect way. He navigates through it. I feel like the team kind of navigates through it. I do think the players are a big part of that because they have some veterans who are tough. But I think having a manager like Buck is a humongous part of that as well. And there's a reason this guy was winning in Baltimore year in and year out. And then when he left, they didn't win shit for years until now. They're kind of making their comeback now. Scherzer, if God forbid he does get suspended 10 games, I guess it's like a little more of resting up. I'm trying to spin zone it. He rests up in whatever that issue he was having, right? I mean, I do not want that. Trust me, we already have Verlander down. Cookie is, Cookie was going to get that Phantom IL spot. They're saying there's an injection. I'd love to see that if that was actually true. But I don't know who the fuck we're starting if Scherzer's out again.
Well, you're
Darth Vadering Phil again. You're Darth Vadering Phil again.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes down, we'd probably start Jose Bayo. I mean, who actually looked okay in Oakland. Now, it is the Oakland A's, which are a double-A team. I get that. But, he at least was capable. I worry a lot about the rotation depth on this team. So that's a huge concern. So I hope Scherzer isn't suspended. I guess that's the thing is I feel like Buck and, guys like Brandon Nimmo, I saw someone in the chat was like, how about Nimmo? And you're absolutely right. Nimmo's been awesome. So, how long can they keep putting this team together with Tate and String and Lindor and Alonso and a couple other guys? I feel like I don't want to lose any more depth. And I feel like Scherzer, while he hasn't had great command this year, the stuff is there. It's still there. And I want to see him work through those command issues. I don't want to see him for 10 days.
Definitely. And kind of like you said, the pitching depth, we already are on the 6th guy is in the rotation. Peterson, McGill, the 7th guy is already in the rotation. Butta would be number 8. I guess Joey Cherv would be number 9 if we have to. And, get one more guy that's an even 10. That's, twice your 5-man rotation. And we're not even in May yet. But that's baseball, Susan. We know how this stuff works. You cannot ever have too much starting pitching. It's an absolute truth. Let's see, Phil. Phil, have you come back to the dark side on us? Are you
am I still Vader?
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I guess. I mean, fucking Buster Olney's messing with my mic, I guess, today.
Oh, boy. Doing the great.
But I was going to say, it's like, the main reason why the suspension would hurt, right? You know who we'd play next homestand? They'd miss a game against? The Atlanta Braves.
God
so Phil Kelsey was doing the chop.
Oh, that son of a bitch. And I believe he is from Belleville, New Jersey. I was told that. So connect the dots here. There's a couple of rogue agents, I feel like, that are trying to take the Mets down because someone else I know from there was the reason the Braves said the motivation for them to catch the Mets in the standings last year. On the record, that was said no less on a podcast. But yesterday, and we touched on it, Brandon Nimmo, the coming out party. It's not even a coming out party because last year he was awesome, and that's why he got that contract. But this is why you spend that money on Brandon Nimmo. The catches he's had, getting on base, the hits, the home run, obviously, every fucking thing. This is everything you've ever wanted in a center fielder. And to be fair to Mets fans that didn't believe in Brandon Nimmo in the beginning, this wasn't the guy the entire time. he's growing into this guy, which is why you use the first round pick on him, despite having like 6 people in his school and he's like going to other states to be able to play baseball. But this guy has been everything we were ever going to hope he could be and more. 30 years old. He's going to have, his prime, his peak is going to be here. And he pisses people off by running the first. There's nothing I don't love about Brandon Nimmo.
No, like look at Nimmo for a second. Like, I think this is kind of the guy that I think they hoped he would be. When they got him, he was so raw. And I think they're like, all right, this guy has the tools, and props to the scouting that drafted him and took a chance on him because he keeps getting better and better every year. And we were talking about a little bit of the gambling cave last night. There's a good chance Nimmo is going to be the all-time leader in hits for the Mets. Like, that's not an insane prospect. There's a good chance his number is retired one day. Like, because if he plays his entire contract with the Mets, he's going to put up some serious numbers.
That's true. And yeah, the Mets, as we always learn, whenever a guy comes up and like Pete, for example, with home runs, he just goes from like, makes it like into the top 10 in home runs, like overnight, it seems like, because we do have we're more of a pitching franchise historically than a hitting franchise. David Wright kind of was the same way. Reyes did it with the runs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Nimmo could really, when it's all said and done, knock on all the wood for the health, because that was another knock on him early in his career. If he stays healthy and is able to grind it out, that's huge. That was the other thing we had since the last time we had you on, Clemmer. Speaking of homegrown prospects, Beatty called up on the Mets. I'm sure that made you very happy. You don't have to see Escobar anymore coming up small in a big situation. It
did. Yeah, absolutely. First off, Escobar, props to him, handled the entire situation with as much class as I've ever seen a veteran handle it in any sport. Just seemed to all say the right things. I know he's a really popular in the clubhouse, so cool. He's like a good guy. Beatty hasn't looked great, but he's looked better than Alvarez. Alvarez has looked overmatched most of the time he's up. I understand he's got to work through that, and we, as Mets fans, we just got to kind of like ride it out for the next couple months, unfortunately. Yep. That's the only way he's going to get better is seeing that major league pitching. But with Beatty, I feel like he's a little more advanced, and I think it's going to come for him fast than Alvarez, if that makes any sense.
I hope so, man. And did you see that thing where Scherzer wanted to pitch to Alvarez and to get him ready for that? Like, that's the kind of stuff. That's some veteran leadership kind of stuff out of Scherzer that you love to see, because it wouldn't have surprised me if Scherzer was like, no, I'm going to pitch to Nito my entire time here. We kind of had that. Remember Noah wanted his own personal catcher. Jake could have whatever the fuck he wants. Like, that's Jacob deGrom. But Noah, who, I'm not going to lie, boys, it was nice beating that guy yesterday. It was nice beating him. He's not – and I'm not like, oh, man, I wish we had signed Noah. Remember when he kind of we all had him kind of penciled in the rotation, and then he just signed with the Angels out of nowhere? I'm pretty happy the way it all things worked out for us. He's not the pitcher he once was.
Happy he didn't run afraid from us again.
Oh, God damn it, Phil. You're Vader again. Phil Vader.
Phil Vader. Meek Vader.
Meek Vader. You may just have to go through the computer mic from now on.
No, we can hear.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. So
hey, we're gonna
there we go.
This mic, gone. Not using that. So let's come out the computer mic.
Tech guy Andrew.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. Buster only screwed up. But I forgot what we were talking about.
Noah, your boy Noah, who I think everyone has a little bit of
happy he didn't run afraid from us again like he did the last 2 or 3 times, whatever the hell it was.
That's right. We drafted injuries we thought he was going to fake before the game. I had lower extremities. Kyle, I think, had other. You had upper half or arm injury. I feel like we all have a little bit of hate in our heart towards Noah just because he kind of drove us nuts with some of the shit he did. Phil, I feel like he is high on your hit list. For
very high. I don't even want to call him by his name half the time.
Yeah, you just
he's 34, 43, whatever you want to do.
And now 34 is a much different guy here who we all love even more so.
With Syndergaard, I feel like I don't know if I have hate in my heart for him, but I definitely kind of enjoy seeing him get shelled a little bit. It's different than Wheeler. When Wheeler, I kind of root for Wheeler. I know he's in the Phillies and but I don't know. Wheeler's a guy that I always thought, he wasn't on the 2015 team. I always feel like he kind of never really got his. So I don't know. I kind of pull for Wheeler as much as I can pull for a Philly. But with Syndergaard, it feels a little bit more personal.
Definitely. And I think because Noah's a little more brash and he's always outspoken. Wheeler, on the other hand, he like wanted to be here. He was very much a product of the Wilpons just being like, and then because we shipped him out, they then had to feel like they had to get another big name pitcher. That's how Marcus Stroman came to our lives, which fucking sucked pretty much for the most part. So there isn't much I'm with you on that. Like I don't root for Wheeler, but when he does good, I'm like, like at least I'm happy he landed on his feet and he's doing all right because he's getting paid well, obviously. Noah, it's like it's crazy. You look at the 5 aces of Flushing or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Harvey, where is Harvey after Team Italy wrapped up the WBC?
Free agent.
He's just a free agent sitting out there.
The Tyler Skaggs thing made it so I don't see anyone taking a chance on him. I don't think. I mean, he looks pretty good in Team Italy as much as, he looks fine as well as he can look, but teams still stayed away. That Skaggs thing, I don't think that goes away.
Yeah, that's blackballing kind of stuff there because no one wants to deal with all that shit. And it's not like you're doing it with this guy with this huge arm talent or, someone who's known as a great clubhouse guy to begin with as well. Obviously, Wheeler's making out well in Philly. Noah's kind of just seemed to be stuck in neutral for another year. Jake, did we ever hear about the wrist injury with Jake? I know he said
it's just precautionary. That's it.
Yeah. So, and then Sven Matz. I haven't even thought about Steven Matz in weeks here. So we talked about him actually a couple episodes ago, but I haven't seen anything good about him. So I'm guessing he is the Cardinals. And thank you, Steven. Like this all worked out for the best. The amount of like bullets the Mets have dodged. Noah Syndergaard being one. Steven Matz, leaving Steve Cohen at the bargaining table to sign with the Cardinals, unleashed that tweet, unleashed that spending spree on Black Friday a couple of years ago. And here we stand with a team that's just beating the Dodgers on the road. And that first game, so obviously the last game was great, day game, whatever, and coming through with the Scherzer adversity. But that first game had a lot of adversity too because, you go down right off the bat, Freeman hits the home run, Vogelback coming back answers, and then you just kind of had back and forth. And, to be the last one standing, it was the Peterson start. That's who was and they hit Dustin May so fucking hard. I did not see that. Clemmer, I imagine you were like, out of all the games, I actually thought I was most scared of the first game just because Kershaw can be a little, if he gets hurt or dinged up or something in his older age. That was the one I feared the most, and that was the one where we scored the most runs.
Yeah, I was game of the year. If it was, like I said, if not for yesterday, maybe. Like, that was just a great win, back and forth. Team showed a ton of guts. We finally were hitting, like driving and runners in scoring position. Kind of just like, it was just a good game. The only thing that worried me about that game is I'm not a Peterson guy. Like, I want to be I have McGill ahead of him. Like, I know that maybe that's not how the Mets see things, but I think McGill has looked so much better than Peterson this year. I don't know if let's assume hopefully Verlander comes back soon and there is some just tough decisions to make. I really hope that McGill can stay in the rotation.
Yeah, I like McGill too. The only thing is the health. I just feel like you're doomed to just have something flare up, but we'll see. I mean, he's been awesome. Phil, that first night, I feel like you were riding high on that one too. The text chain was fired up.
They just kept coming back and back and back again, and it was really good. I just wanted to say John Harper tweeted out something about Scherzer that said, spoke to a source who says Scherzer has zero chance of avoiding mandatory 10-game suspension from ejection. Source notes that 2023 MLB memo explicitly says rosin can be deemed an illegal substance if overused. That's not supposed to be applied anywhere but on the mound. You're telling these pitchers with the pitch clock in 15 seconds, if you want to get a grip, you got to do it on the mound. And you can't do it in between innings.
Yeah.
You got to be fast and how you get sticky, but you can't get too sticky.
This all just seems kind of like willy-nilly. Like you would think an organization like Major League Baseball would have everything in place. So right now, with the pitch clock, how are we going to – and with these legal substances and what's illegal. And like Scherzer said, he's washing his hands and getting ready in front of like a league official, basically. And then he's getting thrown out by the umpire. We also have to remember Rob Manfred is in charge of this, and it's an absolute just shit show. The way the A's were just bungled and mismanaged, and now they're heading to Vegas is like another prime example of that. So I guess we're looking forward to life without Max here.
I guess the question then, how can you rush Verlander back? Can you have him make that instead of having a rehab start? Can you have him actually start with the Major League club, or do you go to Butto or some weird combination of both? I don't know.
Also, in July, you're going to tell pitchers they can't sweat too much on the mound or else they'll be suspended 10 games.
Yeah, and the sunscreen, too. It's like, don't put sunscreen on because that's going to be a substance that could be
It's just
a
the
problem
dumbest
as well.
league, and I don't see how you could justify doing this, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, shit. Okay, so I guess we're going to, again, but this is what I do. When I get freaked out, when I get worried, I just think about our boy Buck. He's going to take care of everything. He's going to, if at least you're giving him a little bit of like a runway now to come up with a plan instead of yesterday where he kind of just had to do it on the fly, which he did, obviously, and everyone answered the bell. It's that fucking Brave series. He's going to miss that Brave series. Those guys cannot fucking, they live catching breaks.
Oh, so if he does appeal, though, which I'm guessing he will appeal, not only that, but he's a Hall of Famer. He's not going to want, he's going to want to fight this as much as he can for reputation's sake alone. So if he appeals this, I don't know, that might push back when he would be suspended, which might benefit the Mets as well if some guys can come back by then.
Also, there's going to be at least one or two writers now to leave Max off their Hall of Fame ballot in like 7 years from now. Be like, oh, remember that 10-game suspension he got when he was 38 years old for sweating?
When his whole career was pretty much already in the books. Yeah, it's going to be. Oh God, Phil Cuzzy has made himself like this is first and last name basis with Mets fans. He's the enemy now. Like anytime we'd have a Phil Cuzzy game, we'd be like, here we fucking go again. He has like, and then the question is Phil Cuzzy the only one that is enforcing the rules, or is he just the biggest stickler for it all? If 3 for 3 for him, but you're telling me no one else has had enough sticky stuff. That's, I guess, the other side of the equation here, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's him being, other umpires do check pitchers, but obviously he's taking to an extreme. Now, if the rule says that rosin is also considered to be a illegal substance if used a certain way, that basically puts all the power in the umpire's hands, which is kind of bullshit. So that means the umpires can basically throw at anyone because every pitcher has at least some element of rosin on them. And if it's up to their discretion, that gives umpires basically complete control to throw anybody out of a game whenever they want, which I guess they could always do anyway, but.
Yeah, you're doing this to like a legend like Max Scherzer. Like, if you could happen him, it could happen to anyone.
And Scherzer was very much like he was this entire thing he didn't like from the jump. Basically, I remember the first game where he's basically asking if they want him to strip down and everything. Remember, and it was him and Girardi had that thing. They had that like little tiff when he was on the Nats still. So, all right, boys, saddle up. Like, I swear. It started on opening day where it was like, Verlander. It's like you just can never just have smooth sailing, all 5 guys in the rotation. Even like going back to the 5 aces of Flushing. We had that rotation go through once. Was it just one time?
It was literally just one time.
Yeah.
Fucking absurd.
And when it happened, like a lot of the guys already, but like Harvey was already past his peak.
Yeah. God damn it, man.
To go back to Buck for a second, anytime people are too worried, like you said, believe in Buck because Yacobonis has as many wins as Verlander, Scherzer, and Carrasco combined. That just shows you that like he can make miracles out of chicken shit.
Yep. It's true. 2 games back of the Braves right now. They finally lost yesterday, which when they're just on their winning streaks, you're just like, man, it's just not going to stop, huh? Like, last year kind of got us used to it. So it's tough. But whatever, we have to move forward here. And next up is the Giants, 4 games in San Fran. 2 late ones, I think 9:45 and 10, right?
Yeah,
9:45 and 10:15.
I think Saturday's 4:00.
Yep, Saturday's 4 and Sunday's at 7.
Yep.
So Saturday's on Fox, Sunday is on ESPN. Senga on tonight, Thursday night, again, Shomanea. TBD for Friday, that's great, versus DeSclafani.
Well, yeah, Friday's probably Jerry Lucchesi, and then Sunday's Miguel.
Yeah, well, Casey was supposed to make a start yesterday, was pulled before the game, and I think Phil's absolutely right.
Okay, so there we go. And then Peterson, Webb, and then McGill versus TBD on Sunday. So we'll see what happens. Did Conforto come back yet? Because I know he was.
Yes, he actually hit a game-winning homer yesterday while Frank was doing mid-Frank rant. He hit a game-winning homer for the Giants.
Now, what happened? Like, is he allowed to complain about Conforto not being on the Mets? I don't think Conofor was like one of his big ones.
Yeah, and he got injured last year too. It's like,
yeah.
So I'm going to defend Frank a little bit on this one. So Frank always says when players leave the Mets and go somewhere, they do better. And I will say the Giants' best hitters right now are Wilmer Flores, Conforto, J.D. Davis. Like Frank was right about the Giants, at least the former Mets going to the Giants and becoming great players again, which is odd.
Oh, Frank's in the. I'll let Frank in, and because we have this is the Darren Ruff series as well. So I just threw it in the link there, Frank. Come on in, join the thing. We'll have you on to make your piece. All right, Frank. Before I add you to the stream, it's going to be a civil conversation. If you're gonna rant, you could scream. I'm just letting the people at home know. Turn the volume down if you don't want your eardrums blown out, because I don't know where we're gonna go if we're venturing, bringing up some names here that are in San Francisco. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank the Tank. Hello, Frank. How you doing, buddy?
The thing about Michael Conforto that drives me nuts is what Hugh Quattlebaum turned him into.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, Hugh Quattlebaum. That's the name.
And I don't think. And I don't think the Mets should have tried to get him, but it's just very frustrating that he's actually hitting well. It frustrates me because what he was in 21 and getting hurt, horsing around at a wedding. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's the type of guy you actually want on the team, to tell you the truth.
That was just a brutal break too, because it's free agency. Boris guy, he's going to hold out for every dollar, and then he got
and the Mets offered him a fair contract. I feel,
yeah,
a qualifying offer. Well, and before that, they offered him.
And he's not making what he would make at the qualifying offer,
Nope.
No.
Yeah, so he's hurting right now. And, I mean, we just had the series with the Dodgers, obviously, and Freeman comes up every single time. There's going to be like 4 Freddie Freemans in this lineup whenever they come up. Whenever JD, Conforto, your boy Darren Ruff come up, I'm going to be like, well, this was written in the stars for the Mets, because we all have the same thoughts as Mets fans.
And Darren Ruff, this is starting to show me that he deliberately sucked with the Mets.
Oh, boy.
Here he has a tattoo on his shoulder of him on a wrecking ball destroying the Mets logo.
Frank, I just want to say, for every hit Darren Ruff gets this series, I will blame you. But for every out he makes, I will thank you for it.
He was awful. He was beyond awful.
I think that's very fair, that system, because he's in San Francisco right now because of you.
He was beyond all. It was a stupid trade. It really was. Not that I like JD Davis. Not that I didn't want JD Davis to go. But you had to bring in someone better. I mean, Darren Ruff last year was having a bad year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Frank. I don't think that's a bad. I mean, Billy Epler even admitted it. Like, that was just a bad trade. It
was a bad trade. By the way, this weekend, I'm going to me and Clem, of course, going to Syracuse tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we are going to Syracuse Mets game on Friday.
Get to see the boys just keep mashing. I mean, they don't have Beatty anymore, but the other guys are hopefully there. I haven't seen any Mauricio home runs in the last.
I think Vientos homered last night.
Oh, there you go.
The other night.
I think we might be seeing Vientos soon.
I mean, that DH spot still is unsettled there.
I'm almost to the point now where I'm done with Daniel Vogelback.
The guy hit a home run. He was getting on base.
Here's my issue with Vogelback. He doesn't swing the bat enough. He had that one home run, which is finally. But if Brandon Nimmo walks every time he gets on base, that's fine. But Vogelback clogs up the bases when he's on base. He's clogging up a roster spot. He has only one thing he can do, and that's hit home runs. And if he's not hitting home runs, then he's worthless in the Mets. They need to bring someone younger, someone who could be more versatile, someone who you could plug into spots. And I gotta say, so far I've been wrong about Tommy Pham. He's been good, but Daniel Vogelback, he's got to pull his weight more.
I mean, he does get on base. 378 on base percentage. That's pretty good. And
no. If Vogelback, I'd rather have Vogelback batting 200 and have 5 home runs than a 378 OPS. Batting average.
Well, you would hope the home runs are going to come. That's going to be the two sides.
But he's just sitting up there, and he doesn't. He's looking to walk.
But the other, this is me personally. I like Vogelback. I think I just like the vibes he brings too. But late in games when he's up, I'm like, oh, they're fucked right now. Because I mean, if he hits it, he hits it. But if he walks, Then they put in, Castro was the guy. I don't know who the guy.
He had back spasms.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, back spasms, my foot. Just like Phil Cuzzy, that son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah. All right, Phil, Tank, I'll rile you up for this one. Give us your take on Phil Cuzzy right here. Just let it all out.
I've had this theory for years that if you know an umpire's name, he's one of the worst umpires in baseball.
Yep.
And I've always had Phil Cuzzy as the Mount Rushmore of bad umpires that are currently in the game. I mean, Joe West is now retired, so we had to put a new one on there. But it's Angel Hernandez, Phil Cuzzy, CB Bucknor, and I guess Laz Diaz took Joe West's spot.
Yeah, Laz made it up to the Mount Rushmore. Congratulations to him and his family.
That motherfucker lives in this town. He's from Belleville and lives in Nutley, which is the next town over. In fact, Nutley and Belleville hug each other on the borderline, and they're the rival in football and every sport. And Nutley and Belleville are basically the same type of town. Nutley's just a little more upper class than Belleville is a little more working class. And so he moved into Nutley, the haughty-tawdy Nutley there. And the old apartment I used to live with the pizza window.
Pizza window, yes.
He lived about a mile away from that.
I bet there's a chance that one time he saw you walking down the street in your Mets jacket, Mets hat, just fucking furious about a call the night before, and Phil Cuzzy went the other way.
I'm pretty sure he might have been in the Nutley ShopRite one or two times.
So, I mean...
Yeah, that's where I got... And Nutley, that's where I got my fucking root canal, too.
That sounds about right. I mean, the fact he has all three of the ejections for sticky stuff, that's all you need to know. I mean, there's billions of games every single year.
Scherzer better not get suspended, because this is showing me that we got an umpire who's like the fucking hard ass. He's that if no other umpire is nabbing these players, but this one umpire's done it 3 times, something's wrong here.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out if he's the only one enforcing the rules or he's just the only stickler for the rules. Like you all, the teacher who would just harp on something and you're like, oh, you're gonna have to deal with this. This guy is a sticky stuff guy, and he's the guy.
He's the police officer that's looking for every broken tail light.
Yeah, exactly. Good way to put it. But I mean, and it's one thing yesterday. You have to kind of scrap together 6 innings from the bullpen, which they did, and they got the win. But to have 2 starts just wiped off the books for your guy, especially when your other guy is already hurt in Verlander.
Hey, when are we going to see Verlander? I'm getting sick of this.
What's the latest, Phil? I always go to Phil for my updates.
His rehab is on Sunday. I think it's the bullpen session Sunday. Rehab start next Friday, and then I think his first start would be versus the Tigers, 1st of May, if that's the correct schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, first week of May is what they're saying.
Yeah.
And do they still kind of like if you appeal something, it takes days, and it's like it doesn't, I feel like that's how it usually goes. At least it used to, right? Back in the day.
I think so. I mean, this has happened 2 other times, and the 2 other pitchers probably just wanted to take their paid vacations.
Yeah.
It was Hector Santiago and Caleb Smith.
By the way, Hector Santiago, high school, Bloomfield Tech, which is, I think now finally it closed. It merged into North Tech, is about 6 blocks from where I'm sitting.
Oh, there you go. Little fun fact I always love the Frank fun facts.
Briefly I met Hector Santiago.
Right.
Huh.
Oh, yeah, that's where Brody Van Wagen had the infamous quote. It's like, I'm doing all I can to improve this team, and here I am announcing Hector Santiago or something.
So, and Frank, I'm just going to put it out there now. Phil read a tweet. It was John Harper said people in the industry saying he's getting suspended. So if you want to, get your little song or rhymes up or whatever, I don't want to work into a froth, but it sounds like he's going to be suspended more than likely.
And so we're going to be watching, the Mets going to have just signed Jared Eichhoff. Jared Eichhoff sucks so much, the Oakland fucking A's won't sign him.
Hey, they're the Las Vegas A's now.
Are they going to move them next year, or is it going to?
I think that 2027.
Linger 3 years.
It's going to be.
Yeah, the lease I think ends next year. There's no way they're going to renew. So the A's will be in Vegas at the latest 2025. I don't think it's impossible that they're next year.
No, they got to. that stadium is. Did you see Mad Dog's rant?
No.
Yeah, Mad Dog Chris Russo was talking about the possum. He goes, "You got possum," and basically like the city ordinance in Oakland has got like this humane like thing where they can't even like exterminate them.
I told you, man, there's so many hippies out there in the Bay Area. How they couldn't just get one out there? It doesn't surprise me that's the law, but I can't believe they can't have one hippie from like San Francisco come over and find the goddamn possum, right?
I mean, there's a possum at Dodger Stadium yesterday too.
Yeah, that's right. It might be the same possum.
It's not chasing out the walls. It's not in a sewage dump of a stadium. That's
And what would be the A's plans to go to Vegas? I know there's like that stadium in Vegas where the XFL team plays, but you can't be playing in Vegas in the summer. Like you'll just have people dying.
Maybe they could use the minor league stadium.
Yeah. How's that though? Is it it's an outdoor stadium, isn't it?
It is an outdoor stadium. It's fairly new. It's about 5 years old.
The XFL stadium used to be the baseball stadium.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's where when the 51s left, they built a new stadium.
So guys have played AAA there outside for a while. It would be uncomfortable, I imagine, but I think for a short-term solution, it might
2-3 years. That's not a bad problem. That's not a bad problem. It's better than the sewage dump.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're like upgrading, even though they're going.
They're playing in sewage.
Oh man! So
I'm saying it now. Losing one game to the A's is embarrassing. I was more pleased with the Mets how they played in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah,
than how they played in Oakland.
Well, guess what, Frank? They didn't lose one game to the A's. So
they tried their damnedest.
You tried to give them a fucking you tried to take a sweep and make it that they got swept, which is like, as Phil said, the most bizarre fan fiction I've ever seen. It's like
they tried their damnedest. The A's are just so inept that they couldn't win.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to try to defend the A's. Like Phil said, every year there's just a team that is an embarrassment to baseball, basically, and they're.
Yeah, if they're playing a 3-game series against the Staten Island Ferry Hawks, I think the Ferry Hawks have win at least one.
Yeah, they haven't won a series yet. I mean, they
have 4 wins, and I think Trevor May is half.
3-16. Stone Cold
I think Trevor May is all of them.
Trevor May is 2-3 already.
Yeah.
And he's left the team for anxiety.
Yeah, he's on the DL IL right now for anxiety. So
playing on that team would give anyone anxiety.
Oh, I had anxiety watching them. That's for sure. So, Frank, that was your masterpiece, though. Is saying the Mets losing one game in Oakland was like a sweep, and then they never even lost that game as well. But I understand I understand your thinking. You're always that you expect them to win, even though not one rational Mets fan ever expects them to win because we know better with this team. This Giants series, how are you feeling about it right now?
I'm
in
not
Frank
feeling
mode,
about it.
You don't feel good about it?
I don't like how the pitching matches roll out. I think if they take a split to and of course you got one on ESPN where you can have Buster Olney and the Scott Van Pelt home run apple. Where it comes out, the apple goes, "Hey, I like apples."
Scott Van Pelt kind of could be a home run apple. He has the head shape for it too. That would be actually pretty good. Winning tonight would be nice because Senga's on the mound, and I have the most faith in Senga. And the Giants have been bad. I didn't realize Conforto hit the walk off last night or the game winning home run. So
well, the Marlins gave him that fucking game.
The Giants have been bad this year.
Marlins and Clendening had the bases loaded with 1 out.
Frank, can I talk about the Marlins? They are sitting above the Philadelphia Phillies in the standings right now.
Yeah, well.
Can you imagine if the Mets had started this season the way the Phillies have started and some of the losses they've had along the way? You have to just realize the grass can be greener sometimes on this side of the equation.
I think the Phillies knew they were going to get off to a bad start. They have to tread water until Bryce Harper gets back.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
And after last year, they were even worse last year.
Oh yeah, they were. I mean, because we did it to them. We played them like every other series, and we just beat the shit out of them and beat them in every different way.
They got rid of 19-game series is because of that.
I like that. See, I like when you do that kind of stuff in a good way for Mets fans. I like those. Those kind of frank.
You know how I am. I get fucking frustrated.
Yeah, I know. And you get frustrated and then you don't really celebrate either. So you don't even feel like the happiness that we feel. Like yesterday, Mets beat Noah on the road. I had to see like a frank smile somewhere, right?
No, I was doing high fives to Clemmer and
okay.
Everyone there, I was happy about it. They could attest to it. I was more angry about the Scherzer ejection than anything else yesterday. That was the thing that really angered me.
Yeah, because it happened to us, both the Yankees. It was okay, but that's the part that's annoying.
Dildo Phil Cousy.
Phil Cousy is a fucking Yankee fan. He's always been. Everyone fucking knows it. Remember 2009 ALDS against the Twins?
Yep, he was the umpire to call Joe Mauer's ball foul.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that changed that whole series around. He's a typical Yankee meathead from this area. I know. I got them in my fucking family.
Oh man, I can only imagine the Frank the Tank fucking family Thanksgiving conversations here that could be going on, right?
I mean, my father. It's ironically, my father just turned 70, and for his birthday, I saw and today he's starting dialysis, so hopefully that's going well for him. And I got him went to a card show and I found a autographed picture of Joe Pepitone for $10.
Nice.
And that was his favorite player going up, and all these guys, Pepitone. They are. Oh, you're Pepitone this, Pepitone that. And that was their favorite player, and it's just this whole thing. It's like the Yankees. Yankees are you're part Italian. You should be a Yankee fan.
Part Italian, you should be a Yankees fan. I like that. I know our boy Nicky the Good.
No. You got to understand this Italian thing. It goes back all the way to DiMaggio. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. DiMaggio was the hero of it all, and
if you want to talk about typical what Yankee fans are, look at that picture of Anthony Volpe when he was drafted. That's the Yankee atmosphere here.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think the four guys on this call all know what it's like being around Yankees fans in New York.
And Phil Cousy was that.
Oh, Phil Cousy definitely has a little crucifix chain underneath his thing, right? And he's having his Sunday gravy whenever he can get home during the season. So fuck Phil Cousy. He's a dildo.
He honestly is one of the worst umpires in baseball. Always has been.
I mean, you put him on the Mount Rushmore, and I think Angel Hernandez is going to be the captain of that until he retires, God willingly soon. Cowboy Joe West it got to the point with Cowboy Joe West. I almost respected him because he was such a dickhead, and he knew it. He owned being a dickhead.
There was a bench clearing brawl one time where he body slammed Dennis Cook.
Wow, he's a big boy too.
And it was actually what you call. It was a Mets-Phillies fight, and
really?
Cook was a Philly at the time. This is like 8 years before he became a Met. Cook, and Dwight Gooden charged him out.
Wow!
He got plunked and charged him out, and there was a big fight, and they tried to pull him aside, and Dennis Cook was trying to go after someone, and Joe West grabs him and picks him up and throws him down.
Oh my God! Remember when Joe West wore the wristband against verbal attacking of umpires?
Yeah,
and it was the same day there was protests in Boston against Nazis. He was.
You realize Joe West was actually in Naked Gun?
Was he really?
He was one of the umpires.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
And in fact, he's the umpire that says, hey, look, the scoreboard even has 3 outs.
Wow. So, yeah, he was due. If you're in the first Naked Gun, you were due for retirement. Fuck Joe West.
Nobody was an umpire for many more years than Joe West. I think he was approaching 40 years.
And he has an album too. He's a legitimate singer.
He in all season he was a country singer, songwriter.
Yeah. So I will never give that man a play though, just on principle alone. I will never listen to his shit.
You know what's gonna happen, don't you? There's some asshole's gonna put him in the Hall of Fame.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It won't be for a while, but he'll get in.
We're saying Scherzer's going to lose votes on the Hall of Fame because of this suspension now.
Well, Buster only says it should be an 80-game suspension.
He did say that on SportsCenter last night.
Scott Van Pelt and the logo.
And did you see Andy Martino? Well, this is because Scherzer, players got to make the adjustments. And it was like Jerry Blevins says, "Do you know what it's like to actually hold a baseball?"
debating with the former major league pitcher who has God knows how many innings on his record. That was the best.
I hate Andy Martino. There's times when I see Andy Martino when he's at home and he's got his stupid Beatles heads behind him, Beatles dolls. Behind him.
Yep.
I literally want to take those dolls and rip the heads off all four of them.
Oh, Frank, I would give nothing more than to see you go and do that with those stupid Beatles heads. This is the thing about Andy Martino, though. When you're in salty Frank mode and you want to find something to make you angry about, you'll find the Andy Martino tweet and quote retweet and be like, "I told you guys." We're like, Frank, that's Andy Martino. We don't listen to him anymore, or we never listen to him, but even more so now. I feel like he's kind of seen the light, though. Have you guys noticed this? He noticed that like negative Mets stuff doesn't play with Mets fans anymore because like Frank and his acolytes are the only real negative Mets fans still out there right now.
He turns off his replies too. So,
yes, that's right.
He actually has me fully blocked.
Oh, he has all of us blocked, I think.
Yeah, I'm blocked.
Clever, you too?
How are you blocked?
That shows. I mean, Andy Martino's had me blocked for a couple of years now.
I think I was his first ever one back in like 2019.
By the way, tonight.
Oh,
you stupid Ranger fans!
I heard Robbie was getting in your head the other day. He was talking shit. Old Robbie, you have to watch out for Robbie Fox. He's like a low key assassin when it comes to hockey.
Well, I snapped back at Avery. Avery had showed the statue of Martin Brodeur and wrote Uncle Daddy on there. So I said to him a story about the one Ranger that killed another Ranger in 1970.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That'll show him, Frank.
Yeah, you got him. You got him good there, Frank. All right, so Frank, give me a prediction for the Devils tonight and then the Giants series.
Devils bounce back with a 4-2 win.
4-2 win. Okay.
I think the nerves got them. I think tonight you'll see a much better performance.
Okay, and then Mets out in San Fran, which I think we said Lucchese's going to be tomorrow, right? Senga, Lucchese, Peterson, McGill.
Oh, wait, there's one note for San Francisco I want to prepare people for. Since 2017, every series in San Fran we've been walked off on at least once.
Mets. I think the Mets do get to split 2-2.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Clemmer? Yeah.
Yeah, same. No. And if they do that,
I'll take a split.
They get a split. They're 5-1 on this trip so far. That would make them 7-3 on a West Coast trip.
Winning 2 out of 3 in Dodger Stadium.
That's
especially
great.
When fucking Kershaw looked like vintage Kershaw.
Yeah, that was expecting to hear Vince Scully on the way he was pitching that game, man. It was unbelievable. So
and that's okay. I don't mind.
The most
losing games like
that game. The most frustrating moment of that game is after they took Kershaw out. They got the leadoff runner on base. They put in Alvarez to be pinch runner, of all people. And Brett Beatty just like hit a missile that didn't turn into a double play.
Yeah,
but that happens. I mean, it's okay to lose games against great pitchers. Great teams do that. You look at the '98 Yankees. You go through some.
Well, I was more pissed off at just my.
By the luck, we were unlucky that night.
on Tuesday was a horrible day. I had a root canal. The Devils lost and the Mets lost.
Yeah.
And the Knicks got their shit pushed in. And you're actually going to be a Knicks fan, right, Frank? You're being a Knicks fan for the playoffs? Is that still
the playoffs? I think I'm done with the Nets. I never should have stayed a Nets fan when they left New Jersey. They've been a dumpster fire since. They had just nothing but drama. I don't trust them to keep Mikal Bridges. I don't trust the organization. I don't trust anything about them. I mean, and they play in an awful arena. I don't like the Barclays Center at all.
No, I'm just telling you, Frank. If you thought being a Mets fan is tough, you ain't Knicks. Like the Mets at least give you a little bit of happiness. The Knicks, this is basically as good as it gets. It's like maybe we can make the second round.
But the Nets are traded all their draft picks.
Oh yeah. No, the Nets fandom is not easy either. I don't want to make that.
Probably never going to sign another free agent, and nobody gives a fuck about the Nets in New York.
I would have probably pivoted to someone else, but again, your old teams, the Celtics. Frank being a hermit crab for one sport where he just changes his teams in basketball, I kind of like that.
Well, here's the thing:
Celtics and Suns are a little too good to jump on their bandwagon right now.
Here's the thing: I may not be a Knicks fan long.
Oh,
yeah, this is a free agent tour.
Yeah, we're just whining and dining.
I might be a Knicks fan for the playoffs. I'm going to announce my allegiance sometime this offseason for at least 3 years.
So, Frank, we got to get you the picnic-looking shirt that LeBron had. This is the Decision 2.0 right here. And announce it on July 1st.
And basically, whatever team I choose, if they don't make me happy, if I feel at a certain point that this team's never not going to win, if it's just going to be misery, I'm not going to be a free agent next time. I'm going to be picked in the expansion draft. I will be a fan of the eventual Vegas NBA team.
Good. That's great, Frank. I like it.
Start fresh. I feel like that's a good way to go. Start clean.
I think so whatever team I choose now as my NBA and my NBA thing, and I could discuss this on my other shows later. I might want to become a fan of an expansion team.
There you have it, folks. Frank the Tank is free agent tour coming up, and now is also looking for his ejector seat for his next team if that team doesn't work out. So
but there might be something fun about rooting for an expansion team.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's a lot. I know Jeff roots for the Vegas Knights. He
got
that run out of that.
And now that the A's are on their way to Vegas, hopefully they'll do it next year or two. The Major League Baseball's got to get them out of Oakland. That stadium,
it's happening now.
I've been to Tropicana Field. Oh, that place feels like a Costco. I've never been to Oakland, but I almost kind of want to go to Oakland just to experience how bad it is.
Easy on the Costco slander, Frank. You know how much I love my Costco. But listen,
I can go watch a baseball game at a Costco?
No, definitely not. I will say, Frank, I could talk to the people involved. If you're looking for Vegas for basketball, maybe we kind of make it a 2-for-1. We send you out there as you can become a Vegas A's fan as well. You could just leave us Mets fans in the dust. You sure?
No.
You sure I can't interest you in that?
No.
I'd love to unmute you during baseball season.
No.
It would be nice to be able to do that again. So,
I have a question for you boys. So the chat's talking about Ohtani right now. Okay, so let's say Narvaez comes back, in 2 months, right around before the deadline. Would you guys trade Alvarez for Ohtani? You only get him for the rest of the year, but that's what you get.
Yes.
It's a scary trade to make because he's essentially a rental.
But
that's the thing.
But no. If I'm Steve, I walk over to Ohtani the first day he's met and go, Shohei, welcome to New York. You're never leaving. Here's your check. It's a 6-year contract. It's worth, let me see, it's $360 million. So you'll be paying annual salary will be $60 million. Oh, and by the way, I have brought you a private jet, that supersonic jet that you can fly to Tokyo anytime you want to visit your family. Also, I have brought you a mansion here on Long Island. Welcome to New York.
But there's no guarantee that he would accept. We don't know what his feelings are in New York, but would you do that trade knowing that he could leave at the end of the year?
I think it would cost more than just Alvarez.
You're probably right. I'm just putting that out there.
I'll tell you why I do it. Kevin Parada.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you'd also do it just because you're built around two starting pitchers are 38 and 40. So.
And Shohei Ohtani is so special.
I agree. I would do it as well. I just didn't know what the feeling was.
And so who was discussing in the cave him going to the Dodgers?
Oh, I think it was Hobbs.
Angels. If the Angels trade him to the Dodgers, fuck the Angels. The Angels deserve nothing. If he goes to the Dodgers as a free agent, there's nothing the Angels can do. But if you physically trade your best player, your draw to your rival, may nobody ever go to your stadium again.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I think I'd do the trade if that was the trade. I just think it would definitely be more. But again, you have Parada, and you then have the next few months to kind of recruit him basically to stay.
And I tell you,
and a pennant race is going to mean something.
Of course.
Much of him.
Frank dropped something.
Shit.
Oh no.
This was a bad drop. It sounds like.
Oh, good.
No phone drop.
No cracks on the screen. But I like what I've seen from Omar Narvaez. So.
Yeah, Frank. The new guys have they've fought off your wrath for the most part. Tommy Pham, Narvaez. Who was the other guy?
David Robertson, who only gave up his first run yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I've always liked Dave Robertson. I wanted the Mets to get him last year.
Can you imagine if he was setup man this year? It would be. I mean, we can't really be much better than 12-7, but and by the way, the Brewers are fucking good. We could just say that now. The Brewers are fucking good. So that sweep, I know it was not a pretty sweep. They seldom are, but it looks a little different now that the Brewers are kicking the shit out of everybody. So we can pump the brakes on that series.
Well,
I think there's only 4 teams, right, that have a better record than the Mets. The Rangers, the Rays, the Brewers, like you said, and the Braves.
And the Rangers are going to have the Rangers are not going to lose a game this weekend.
Who are they put out? Oakland A's.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. The evil Frank laugh came out for that one. He is now haunting the A's as well as the Mets.
I am now actively rooting for them to lose 125 games.
I would say every day in the office, Frank and I talk about the A's at least once or twice a day.
I'm actively rooting for them to lose 125 games. They had a guy come up yesterday, make his major league debut. Actually, was dealing, pitched well,
and they lost 12-2.
Yeah,
Jeez.
The A's are wide. The A's are going to lose 125 games. I'm convinced they're going to break every record we've ever seen. This team is wild. If you have the baseball package, you're not watching the A's tonight, you're missing out. This team is nuts.
Jeez.
And now that they've announced a move, when they play an average Monday night game against a nobody team, they played the Cubs on Monday and they had 4,000 in the stadium.
They play the Reds next weekend at home. Who's going to go to that game? What's the attendance? I know it's the weekend, but what's the attendance going to be? And what are those scores, those games going to be? That's going to be a wild.
Their first week of the season, they drew the 26,000 on opening day, and Shohei was pitching.
Jeez.
15,000, 14,000. Then they had a game against the Guardians, 3,000 fans, 3,400. Then they had 40. Then they almost had 5,000 against the Mets. They had good crowds, but the Mets draw well. Mm-hmm. And on Sunday they had only 17,000 for the 50th anniversary of the 73 A's. They got 4,700 on Monday, 5,100 on Tuesday against the Cubs, and they had 12,000 yesterday. And that's a stadium that seats 60,000. That's a large stadium.
They are basically if the Indians in Major League didn't come through. This is a real life version. This is what it would have looked like.
And this is what they're doing the exact same thing, Clem. They're exactly what they're doing. They're losing on purpose so they can say, hey, look, Oakland didn't support us. What do you want us to do? They're pulling a real life Major League, and it worked.
They have a guy, Tyler Wade, who used to be a Yankee. It's almost like watching an independent minor league team. With all these players, they go, oh, he's on the team? I didn't know he was still in baseball.
It's crazy, man. It's disgusting.
I mean, Brent Rooker looked good. Kemp is a decent player, but he's playing out of position. It's just so bad.
And I know it's a small thing, but they obviously don't want to win. You have a guy like Dylan Bundy, that was a free agent, that the A's could have signed to a guaranteed Major League deal for not much money, and he would have gone there. But instead, the Mets got him on a minor league contract. But that just shows you that the A's don't even want to be competitive. Not that Dylan Bundy's going to stay there this season, but at least he'd be better than some of these other options. But the A's just don't care. They want to lose.
I guess Zach Britton's never going to play again because nobody signed him.
Oh, he never ended up anywhere, even in the minor league, huh?
Not yet.
He had a tryout too, and I think he's might be over for him.
Cooked. Yeah.
But Jerry's familiar. He is done.
Yep.
And like they had that one guy come in the game who's now back to the minors, Hogan Harris. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when I walk the whole ballpark around you?
Oh, I love it. I love it, Frank. So yeah, Frank, just remember, like, whenever the Mets piss you off, even though they're like one of the better teams in baseball right now, it could be worse. You could be rooting for the Oakland A's, soon to be Vegas A's. So things can always be worse. So that's why, Frank, we say at the end of every show, gotta believe.
I just hope that the Mets actually it's just so frustrating that the Braves always win.
Gotta believe, Frank.
Gotta believe, Frank.
Gotta believe.
Frank.
Say it, Frank.
You gotta believe.
There it is.